Alright guys, hope you got your fitness up after those friendlies because World Cup time. Now, Spain first up. I'm not expecting us to win. If we can get a draw, that'd be great. But mainly, let's not get smashed like Portugal at the last World Cup because that really hurt us goal differential wise. That could be quite important, making our way through as one of the best third place teams. And also important is that we pick up a result against Chile, the worst team in the group, who are not us, okay? Respectably against Spain and pick up some points against Chile. Those are the goals. Let's do it. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 60 of the New Zealand Builder Nation here on Shaun Does FM with both Cashmere Technical and with the All Whites. And coming up today, it is the first part of the 2030 FIFA World Cup. We're in Group J and we're going to play our first two games in that group. In today's episode, first up, we take on Spain. No doubt that will be the toughest one that we do play in this group. But a few days later off the back of that, then we take on Chile. Hopefully can get something out of that game to set up a big clash tomorrow to take on Senegal. If we can get out of this group, we'll also include then our tie in the second round of the competition. But if you're looking forward to the 2030 FIFA World Cup here in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But before we get stuck in to this World Cup with the All Whites in Group J, as I said, kicking off with a tough clash where we do take on Spain, and also for a few injury-enforced changes to our squad going in to this tournament, since we did reveal our extended squad at the end of last week. A bit of a Cashmere Tech update because we played a couple of games in the Chatham Cup off the back of the end of last week. We did play the OFC Champions League final and also a Southern League clash against Selwyn United. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. As I said, also include our extended squad for the FIFA World Cup. So hopefully that will save us time and me running through while we've picked certain players, because it should be covered off there with the top two being picked from each position, apart from goalkeeper, where we did need all three, and a couple of extra players that we did select with 26 players in the World Cup squad instead of the usual 23, but two games that were played in the Chatham Cup off the back of the end of last week. First up, we took on Green Island in the first round and picked up a very comfortable 5-1 win here, thanks to goals to Paquette Lopez, Tsukamoto, Julian Pike, and Alessandro Lepane. So that was a pretty comfortable win, even though it was 1-1 for most of the first half. That was a bit disappointing, but thankfully ran away with it in the second half. Off the back of that, while we were playing some friendlies with the All Whites on our way to this World Cup, I did switch to our All Whites tactical style in the Gegenpress. Have just felt like the vertical tiki-taka hasn't been going quite as well as I was hoping it would be here at Cashmere Technical, since we have made the jump from AFC Auckland. So I'm going to try this New Zealand Gegenpress, seeing as that's been overperforming with the All Whites. Hopefully that will do the same with Cashmere Technical if one day we can make our way to a FIFA Club World Cup. And thankfully it does look like it's improved us just a little bit based on the 3 games that we have played since then, albeit 2 of them friendlies, but convincing wins in those before we took on the Dunedin City Royals in the second round of the Chatham Cup. These guys, a fellow Southern League team, so I did feel like this was a better judge of the tactic than that previous game where we took on Green Island and thankfully picked up a fairly comfortable 3-0 win there, thanks to first half goals to Goldrick Lopez and a penalty which Tsukamoto did put away. As you can see, very dominant stats-wise, even more dominant, I'd say, than what we were doing with the vertical tiki-taka. We usually would hold onto the ball and play a bit lower tempo than we are with the Gegenpress. But as you can see, even here, holding on to a lot of the ball, and thankfully 3-0 win. So we are through to the third round of the Chatham Cup. So it's been a decent start with the Gegenpress at Cashmere Technical. In the third round, we take on St Albans Shirley, but that game is almost a month away, so it does mean we can focus now back on the All Whites for this FIFA World Cup. And in terms of the squad going into this World Cup, a couple of injuries going into it, but only one did affect the players that we did give a ticket to Turkey to, and that one player who did suffer an injury, which is going to keep him out of the World Cup, is unfortunately one of the first names on my team sheet usually, in Tyler Binden, our first choice central defender. Unfortunately, he's got a lower back stress fracture and is out for 3 to 4 more weeks off the back of this first game where we do take on Spain. So I feel like picking him might have been a little bit silly considering he probably won't be available until we're already knocked out of this competition. So Tyler Bindon is not at the World Cup. It did mean that Finn Surman, he got a call up instead of him. Georgios Victoros just misses out on a spot at this World Cup, but thankfully that was the only injury that we did have prior to having to lock in our final FIFA World Cup squad. So it does mean, for the most part, got our best players available this time around, unlike last time where we were missing the likes of Libero, Kakache, and also I think there was someone else as well as Chris Wood who picked up an injury in the lead up to it. So thankfully, it's a pretty strong all-white squad that we can pick from for this tournament, but also with an injury coming into this. These days, he has recovered, but Josh Pickering is only on a mid-yellow hard, and that's because he's been recovering from concussion over the past couple of weeks, so it does mean he'll be on the bench for this first game, but that could actually work out quite well with it being against Spain, a game which we might not have got anything from anyway. Hopefully, he'll be fit to fire in our games against Chile and Senegal, but those are the injury concerns we do have going in to this World Cup, so thankfully not quite as many as we had going in to that one back in 2026. We thankfully got out of our group in second and got through to the second round, where unfortunately we got knocked out by the Netherlands. But in terms of the team that we're going with for this first game, you can see it there. It's sort of close to our first choice 11, but Ben Old and Sloan Rodriguez, as well as Herdman and Olise, they are all in there up front. And also Joe Bell as the DM and Adam White over Kakache. Those are changes from our usual first choice 11 for this first game of the tournament, seeing as those players are on a bit of a heavy workload. Do feel like those games against Chile and Senegal are probably a bit more winnable for us than this first one, where we do take on Spain. The free players at the bottom there are the extra players that we did bring. Tim Mason comes as the extra defender just cause he can cover all three positions at the back and also does have some decent potential, but we'll see if we need to use him. Hopefully we won't. We'll just give him some minutes if we do get into strong positions late on in games. His versatility does mean he was the extra defensive backup, the midfield backup. Anto Bratic, he comes on the plane as a pretty good midfield option and with quite a bit of all-whites experience, so it's quite a deep area for us in this New Zealand squad is our midfield. And in terms of the attacking option, we did bring, once we can find him, because of course we've bumped him up with Josh Pickering on that yellow heart because of concussion, but Jacob Hall-Jones, he comes as someone who can play on both the right and the left-hand side. So it's actually worked out quite well with that situation with Josh Pickering. Also, Sloan Rodriguez, he can shift into cam if there's an issue there. So I thought that sorted out the balance quite well for this all-white squad. It does mean not too many striking options, just Olise and George McDonald. We've left out the likes of Sarpreet Singh and Ben Waine. So certainly quite a young New Zealand squad for this World Cup, but hopefully we can do something similar to what we did at the last World Cup, as I said, make our way through to the second round. We'll see if we can do it by finishing second in our group yet again. I did say at some stage last week, I actually think this group might be a bit weaker than what we had last time around in Portugal, Poland, and Tunisia. In hindsight, not too sure what I was smoking when I said that, because honestly, these teams have improved a little bit in the world rankings since that draw, but even in Spain, they might be a bit worse than Portugal, who did win that last World Cup, so the defending champions, but they've moved their way up to 9th in the world, so they're definitely a team that we probably won't be beating in this first game of today's episode, especially with players like Lamine Yamal at 22 years old, seeing as we are in 2030. He is an absolute beast. He could cause us all sorts of trouble, and in behind that, in our group, second up is Chile. That's the second game in today's episode. They're ranked 31st. They're the lowest ranked team apart from us in our group. That's quite a bit higher than Tunisia, who we took on in the last World Cup, is the lowest ranked team. And then we've got Senegal, which will be coming up in tomorrow's episode. They're ranked 19th. I suppose they're a bit similar to Poland from the last World Cup, but still, that's going to be a tough one for us. Not too sure what I was thinking when I said this group's weaker than what we had at the last World Cup, but hopefully we can still find a way to, at the very least, get through as one of the better third place teams, or not so much better, but one of the not absolute worst ones. But first up, we've got Spain. could be a bit of pain coming in to this game. But before then, we are off to Turkey, so it does mean some trips at the World Cup. Have thankfully done some research on the venues where we are playing. 2 of our games are at the same venue, the Spain and the Senegal games. That stadium is actually a real one, so we're going to do a bus trip before this first game, because the second stadium we're playing at is one that's just been made up for the tournament itself, albeit it did get built in 2024. But I did a Google and I can't find it. It's just one bus trip for this group phase of the FIFA World Cup, and it's coming up now before we take on Spain as we have a look at the Timsa Park Stadium. And before we hop in the bus on our way to the ground, we can stay at a nice fancy one this time, unlike our time at Cashmere Tech, especially since they've been semi-pro, especially because FIFA should be footing the bill for this. But here's the hotel that we're staying at. It is the Sheraton Bursa Hotel. I imagine it's the big tall tower on the left and not that A-loft thing on the right-hand side, but already it looks pretty good. I think you can see there in the background actually the outside of the stadium we're playing at. Over on the left-hand side, certainly nice and close to the stadium. This is the main reason I've chosen it, apart from the fact also it's relatively cheap, even though FIFA are probably paying for this, so not too sure why I'm worried about money. But an outdoor pool looks very nice indeed, nice and relaxing for all our glamorous footballers here at New Zealand these days. Some quite promising players in our squad. This looks like a decent place to be, especially once I find the gallery itself. We'll click over here and have a look at the hotel itself, especially considering this is going to be our only bus trip if we do not make our way out of the group at this World Cup. Here's what the hotel does look like on the inside. In the interior, looks quite luscious, quite fancy, should be good for a team at the World Cup. We'll skip the guest rooms because I think that's a bit below us being a team at this FIFA World Cup. I think our players, they'll be staying in the suites where they get all the robes, all the fancy showers, the TVs that are fixed to the wall, all that sort of stuff. They can have a good time there, enjoy their time in Turkey, where hopefully there won't be any pitch invasions or anything like that. Fair to say, it's a very interesting location for a FIFA World Cup. There's the bar. We'll see if we spend any time there or not. Probably not, considering actually wouldn't mind making our way out of the group at this tournament. There's some other features in the hotel itself. We'll make our way down a bit further there. You can see a bit of the dining. There's a pastry area there that looks quite decent. Bit of bread in the morning while we're staying here for the 2 games that we are playing. As I said earlier, also stay here when we take on Senegal. Make our way down a bit further. More pastries. This could be quite troubling. Thankfully these days got an insulin pump on me, so that means I should be fine with pastries. Hopefully keep my sugars level with my diabetes and whatnot. But we'll go down a bit further, and this is the main reason I'd say we're probably staying at this place. Some lovely pools, both indoor and outdoor, and also a sneaky gym as well as a spa. It looks very suitable for a team at a FIFA World Cup. There you can even see a lion is vomiting, so that should be quite good. We can stay there in the Shine Spa and just bask in the lion vomit or whatever that is. I think it's a lion. We'll go along with that. Could be something else. Usually those are sort of lion heads that I think that the water does come out of. There's a nearby attractions. For some reason, no sign of the football stadium, which is the main reason that we are here. But there's the hotel that we are staying at in the Bursa region of Turkey. And in terms of the bus trip itself, it's not a very long one. It is, once we make our way back to driving, not to walking, a 4-minute drive and only 2 kilometers. As I said, I think you might be able to see before the outside of the stadium from that first picture of the hotel, so it should be a nice short job. We'll make our way towards the stadium where we're going to play 2 of our 3 games in this FIFA World Cup group. And this is where we start off our bus trip according to Google Maps. I'm not too sure if this is actually where we'd start off. Probably start off around the corner, just stay a little bit more, but there's quite obviously where we are staying. Thankfully, the big tall tower, not the little puny, quite crap looking aloft. So here we go, gonna make our way here down this road. Won't even try and pronounce the names of these roads here over in Turkey. Don't want to offend too many of the people over there, but we're making our way down the street. Unfortunately, there's construction nearby. That's never good. The blooming Green White Plaza does look like there's quite a bit of construction nearby. Also quite a few road cones, albeit that could be how parking does get done over there. To be fair, it might just be lots of cones and not too much construction. Now I look a little bit better, so hopefully that is the case, because otherwise not ideal before we do head into a couple of big games at the World Cup. We'll just try and make our way here down the road a bit further, but at the moment I can't actually do that, so I have to skip over a little bit here of this bus trip to the next point that I can click on. And this was the next clickable point I could find, so we're making our way here through a tunnel with some very colourful walls in this Bursa region. We'll just see how much further we can go here as we make our way out from this tunnel, driving on the wrong side of the road it would appear, which is not ideal, and to be fair it is actually the wrong side of the road, albeit sticking to my New Zealandisms, this is actually the right side of the road to drive on in New Zealand, so I'm going to stick to my guns here. I'm not in the wrong, it's all you people over here in Turkey. We'll make our way down the road a bit further as we go past the Timsah on 6 market. Not too sure what the 6 means there. We'll continue down the road and get a bit closer to our ground, which I think we can now start to see over there in the far left, the cylindrical shape of the stadium here in the Bursa region. And as we make our way past a gross shop, I presume that is, I've got gross all over it, so hopefully they don't try and sell food to us. But anyway, we'll keep going forward there. You can see on the left-hand side, the outside of the stadium a bit closer now. On this left-hand side, a lot of barren dirt, which no doubt will be quite premium parking for this FIFA World Cup. No doubt FIFA probably bought all that land now, so they can charge you just ridiculous prices for parking nearby, because FIFA love money and all that. But we'll go forward a bit further, and we start to get towards the fencing for the stadium. Now apparently the entrance is a bit further past the stadium itself. We'll keep going forward here and seeing if we can find a way into this. Apparently there is the Bitsy Tinsa Park. Now I'm pretty sure that's one of the names of the stadium. Not too sure though if that's an entrance, but it does look like it could be. Ideally that's where we'd go through, but not too sure if we can do that, so we'll see if there's a different entrance that we can use here to get into the ground. But there you can see that might be the ticketing booth there as people try and make their way into the ground for these games at the World Cup. Also over the road, talk about prime location, that looks like it's a bakery. That could be very good indeed. That could be quite useful if we've not had enough pastries back at the hotel itself. But there you can see a bit more of the outside of the stadium. It's quite green and quite round, so it's an interesting shaped stadium actually for football. It does actually remind me of more like a cricket shaped stadium back here in New Zealand. Unfortunately, again, got into a spot here where I can't click forward, so we'll see if I can see any more of the outside of the stadium. And unfortunately I cannot, so I've actually made our way now to the ground. We'll just park here on the left hand side. I'll go through that gate that we saw before. Unfortunately can't have a look at any more of the exterior of the stadium, but now we'll try and have a look at the inside of the ground where Bursaspor do play in the Turkish top division. And thankfully, unlike some grounds that we've tried to go to in New Zealand in the last little while with our bus trips, this one actually does have a 360 view on the inside of the stadium, even though this is from quite a while ago in 2015. But here is the stadium. It does look pretty decent in terms of the pitch itself, actually quite well suited for football, which is very good considering it's a venue for this FIFA World Cup. But there's a bus trip. We'll see if we get to do any more at this 2030 FIFA World Cup over in Turkey, considering some of the stadiums already do look like they were built a bit past when this save game did start. So quite a few fake stadiums, but this one is a real one that we're going to take on Spain and Senegal. We'll see if we can pick up some unexpected points as we take on Spain in our World Cup opener. And here are the team sheets for this first game at the World Cup. You saw us before, a couple of changes to our usual first choice 11. Adam White at left back, Joe Bell as the balling midfielder, and also all our front four are rotation players. There are Spain going with a 4-4-2, but boy, it's a strong 4-4-2. There's some big names in that team. Not too sure how this one's going to go. Might need to focus on the other games to pick up some points in this group and try and make our way through to the second round. And it's not a great start. Only 3 minutes in here, and the first highlight is a corner to the Spanish team in the red and the blue shorts. They do a short corner there. Thankfully, a block on that shot, but Ansu's buddy here will track back and get on the ball here for Spain. Takes a shot there, a little bit of a worm burner looking for that bottom right corner, but thankfully Alex Paulson comes up with a decent save. The AFC Auckland man, hopefully he'll make some good saves here and try and keep this one as close as possible. Of course, last time we played a game like this at the World Cup, it was the Portugal one. We got beaten 7-2, and that really did impact our goal differential. Thankfully, the fact we picked up 2 wins in the group meant that wasn't too big an issue. Hopefully, we can keep this one a bit closer so that if we do end up being one of the third place teams, our goal differential won't hurt us too much. Yet again, Paulson there with a good save that time from the attempt from Balde, and then a poor pass there as we were trying to make our way out from the back at the 9-minute mark. Lamine Yamal starts to cut inside. Thankfully, that shot goes high and wide, but early stages, Spain are all over us, but somehow still 0-0. In fact, as I try and wrap that up, there is a throw in here for them inside of the final third. They knock that one back to Rodrigo, and he picks out Pedri. Nice ball over the top there for Balde. Was he onside? Not too sure. Now, someone there, Kelly Heald, just bundles that out for a corner. To be fair, so far been under a ton of pressure, so don't mind that as much as I usually would. But now Oyarzabal will take this corner. They try and flick that one on far post, but thankfully it just goes wide, and someone there was offside. But Spain continue to pile the pressure on us, but thankfully still 0-0 here as we make our way up towards the 20-minute mark. Eventually a free kick in our favour. Kelly Heald there, I think, was looking for Ulisse, but unfortunately couldn't quite find him. In Spain here with a chance to build out from the back. We'll see if we can put some good pressure on them, even though this isn't really our first choice 11. Hopefully this is a gamble that does pay off, kind of like it did at the last World Cup. But now Ansu Fati, he does get in behind there from that ball from Alejandro Balde, and they eventually make it 1-0. And to be fair, that's been coming now for a little while. They've been all over us in the early stages of this game of Spain, and they make it count there. 1-0 Ansu Fati, just too much pace there. I think that was for Kelly Heald, but good work there from the Spanish to make their way out from the back. On one of the rare times it looks like we might have been on the attack, and 20 minutes in, we're 1-0 behind. And we go all the way forward to the 40-minute mark. I think it's highlight in this game, so the Beef are doing quite well to keep this close at the moment, but now it's a corner there to Spain, and Ansu Fati on the volley from that ball from Rodrigo will pound it away in the top left corner, and unfortunately couldn't quite get into half-time with this one, only being 1 goal down. There is a buffer goal, and Spain make it 2-0. As you can see there from the match momentum, they probably deserve it. That is a really nice finish. Ansu Fati, good corner routine there, albeit not too sure if that's what they planned, but that makes it 2-0. That'll be the scoreline at half-time. To be fair, that's still pretty respectable for a nation like New Zealand, but to be fair, lots of players out there for us on poor ratings, so might be ringing the changes here going into the second half. And when I say ringing the changes, we're going to make all 5. Darman can come off for Kerwin. All those players below a 6.5, they can come off. So to be fair, quite a few first teamers will come on the field here. McDonald, Keith Kelly, and also Hall Jones. And while we're here, we might just try and be more attacking. So hopefully we can get a goal back and keep that goal differential not too bad like it got last time when we did take on Portugal at the World Cup, because it does feel like this game could go a similar way if we get our heads down in the second half, but not doing too badly in terms of the scoreline. But Spain are all over us. We're 2-0 behind at halftime. And it hasn't taken too long for the first highlight of the second half, and thankfully it's one that might be in our favour. We're thrown here on the halfway line. Hopefully, now that we've gone more attacking, might find a way to potentially try and get back in this game, or at the very least score a goal. Joe Balde with a long-range effort, but unfortunately doesn't quite test. Unai Simon goes wide. So still 2-0 in the early stages of the second half. Now down the other end here for a free kick to Spain. Pedri now just outside the box. That shot takes the deflection. Somehow falls to Oyarzabal in a ton of space out left, and he'll beat Alex Paulson top right corner. Michael Cornelius Beale on a yellow card. That happened about 10 minutes ago. Game, not too sure why you popped that up now, but unfortunately that goal, a little bit unlucky, but still not too sure how no one there's picked up Oyarzabal. That's pretty poor defensively, and Spain make it 3-0 pretty early in the second half. And just making way into the last half hour of this game, we're now down the other end for a corner in our favour. Hopefully a chance for us here to do something from set piece, but unfortunately Curtis can't quite get his head on the end of that one, but Keep plays that back to Bell, squares it for Kelly, and Jamie Kelly, the young promising player from the Wellington Phoenix in central attacking midfield, he'll score our first goal at this 2030 FIFA World Cup, and hopefully that might just get us on a roll here to try and close this deficit a bit in the latter stages of this game. As I said, at the very least, don't want this ending up like the Portugal game from the last World Cup, that 7-2 or whatever it was, 3-1, I'd honestly be pretty happy with as we grab a goal back inside the last half hour. And just about to make our way into the last 15 minutes of this game, we're just going to try some different stuff in terms of our instructions, but we'll see what this highlight does come up with before we do get into that. Unfortunately, it does look like it will be in favour of the Spanish, who have been all over us so far in this game. Oyarzabal with a chance, and to be fair, he was actually on side foot there. He must have been off, but now I think it's time for us to be a bit more expressive in terms of attack. Also maybe play for set pieces, and as well as that, we'll try a higher defensive line as well, and also distribute quickly and to the fullback, see if that might help us get back in this game. 15 minutes left and still 3-1 behind. And we've just made our way into the last 4 minutes of this game. Fair to say the second half's been a bit better for us than the first one, but Spain's still way too classy for us, as you would expect. And unfortunately, we are going to lose our first game of the 2030 FIFA World Cup, albeit that's okay. Pretty expected against a team who are ranked inside of the top 10, while we are down and around the 67 mark these days with the All Whites, but that is a 3-1 defeat. As I said, not too disappointed with that, especially the goal differential, not nearly as bad as it was from that Portugal game at the last World Cup. So hopefully that now means that we can take some points off of both Chile and Senegal. That goal differential won't be as big of an issue in terms of us trying to make our way out of the group as one of the better third place teams. But unfortunately, we suffered defeat in our first game at the World Cup. Next up, a game which should be a lot more winnable for us as we take on Chile. We'll just go forward and see what happened in their first game in the FIFA World Cup, because honestly, I don't remember that from before when that game did take place before this one. They drew 2-2 with Senegal, so hopefully if we can beat those guys or draw with them, that should also indicate that we could also maybe take some points off of Senegal in tomorrow's episode. We'll come back shortly and hopefully get some points on the board as we take on Chile. And here are the team sheets for the second game at the FIFA World Cup. Here are Chile. They are going with a 4-3-3 and actually come to this one in some decent form. Our form before the World Cup, not quite as good. A draw with Ecuador, then losses to Nigeria and to France, but this game going with something a lot closer to our first choice, even apart from the fact our centre-backs are different in Billingsley and also Sermon, and also Marco Stamenic over Michael Cornelius Beale. Bit of a deep yellow hat for him, so we'll keep him on the bench. But apart from that, we are at full strength for this game. Josh Pickering coming back from that concussion, leading in to the tournament early stages. A free kick which Stamenic will take and actually forces a decent save there out of the Chilean goalkeeper. So thankfully on the front foot early in this game, again playing a team in red with blue shorts, but we'll take the corner short. Keep will find Kakache, puts it into the mixer for Jamie Kelly, who will put that one home. Two players on the bench for our last game. They link up nicely, and Jamie Kelly has scored both goals for us so far at this FIFA World Cup. That makes it 1-0, and hopefully this is now a game we can get something out of it. It was definitely what I was hoping for, considering these guys are the lowest ranked team in our group. But Jamie Kelly, good routine there from the corner, beats their goalkeeper at the near post. We take a very early 1-0 lead. And about halfway through the first half, we get the next highlight down the other end here. Chile with a corner. They have lost a player in the early stages of this game. You could see there the substitution that they did make, and Vicente Pizarro with a screamer there. It might have taken a deflection, but still that finds its way into the back of the net. Unfortunately, two highlights so far, two goals. That one to Chile. They take that one edge of the box to Mendes, and Pizarro, that shot definitely takes the deflection. That's why it's been Alex Paulson who was going to try and save that in the top left corner. So it's 1-1 about halfway through the first half, but hopefully a chance for us here to get some justice, as there's a highlight straight from the restart. Darman plays it to Evans in the midfield. Billingsley forward to Stamenic and goes back there to Finn Sermon, getting a start here, which he definitely shouldn't have been expecting, considering he was a late call-up with that injury to Tyler Bidden. Now Pickering tries to square that one, but Chile can clear it away. Now Stamenic will find Justin Keep. Evans tries to play that one for Darman, who for some reason just held his run there. So Chile can get that ball back, and now a long ball forward from the goalkeeper, and Finn Sermon really poorly judges that one. Good try there from Billingsley to get in the way of that shot, but unfortunately Chile will make it 2-1, and back-to-back highlights. Poor defensive work there from Finn Sermon. Also Darman really could have kept going for that ball down the right-hand side before, but unfortunately he did not, and Finn Sermon with a really poor header, just far too forward for where that ball was going to end up. It catches us out, and all of a sudden, we've gone from 1-0 in front to 2-1 behind. And short off the back of that quick fire double, Chile might be back on the attack here yet again. They've got a throw pretty much on the halfway line. Hopefully can find a way here to stop their momentum and maybe go down the other end and pick up an equaliser. The first goal, but unlucky, but the second one, some really poor defensive work there, especially from Finn Sermon, but hopefully this time our centre-backs will help us make our way out from the back. Evans, nice ball over the top there for Justin Keat, one of our guys from Cashmere Technical. The other one being Adam White, who today is on the bench. Darwin plays that one back to Billingsley. Now we go forward to Mark O'Stumnick. He picks out George McDonald. Nice ball forward there to Pickering, who gets in behind. Good chance for him here to hopefully beat their goalkeeper. He does, to be fair. That was also at the near post. So the Chilean goalkeeper here in Cortez doesn't look too hot, but thankfully we've got this back to all square right on the half-hour mark. Nice ball there from McDonald and Pickering. Just in behind. It's a pretty bad tackle there if he connected. That might have ended up being an interesting decision, a yellow or a red card. They might have cover there. So probably just a yellow, but thankfully Josh Pickering back from concussion. He makes it 2-2, and now a short free kick here. Kelly will put that one away in the bottom left corner. The short free kicks, so OP on FM24, and we're back in front of Jamie Kelly on a hat-trick and has already picked up 3 goals in this World Cup. Quite nice work there for, I believe, the 19-year-old from the Wellington Phoenix, but that is a quick fire double this time to the All Whites. Makes it 3-2, albeit now we're down the other end here in Chile. To the corner, they take that one edge of the box for Mendes, who puts that one away bottom right corner. So they might have grabbed an equaliser, albeit the assistant referee there top of screen has got his flag up there, checking here for a potential offside, and the Chilean players aren't celebrating. So thankfully we get away with that one. It's been ruled out because apparently someone was blocking the vision there of our goalkeeper and Alex Paulson. To be fair, you could argue that one's actually the case. There's been some dodgy ones we've seen so far in the save through that same rule, but thankfully that one goes in our favour. Did look pretty bang on, so thankfully we're still in front here 3-2, and now down the other end for a late corner in this first half. Justin Keat will switch this one out to the left-hand side, pick out Louis Evans, plays it forward to Billingsley, goes back there to Finn Sermon. Let's see what he can do. That's a really poor pass though, and another chance here for Chile on the counter-attack, but good tackle there from Evans, and the ball finds its way forward to Pickering. He goes down on the edge of the box. Going to have to wait here for a VAR review, but I'm pretty sure this will not be a penalty, should just be a free kick. We'll just wait and see if indeed that is the case. To be fair, Pickering might have learned some acting skills over there in Chicago, because he's certainly selling the ever-living heck out of that tackle, but it is just going to be a free kick, which we don't see. Jamie Kelly, a yellow card late in the first half, which makes things a bit interesting at halftime, seeing as he is on a hat-trick. Don't really want to take him off, but thankfully, entertaining first half, even though both teams haven't actually had that many shots, but all of them have been on target, and we lead 3-2 thanks to that one extra shot that we have had. Just checking on some players who we could take off. I'm going to take off here Finn Sermon. He was pretty average in that first half. Simon Curtis can come on for him. Hopefully there'll be a good link up between two players from the Western Sydney Wanderers, but I think that's the only change we need to make. Also, we just get Kelly here to ease off tackles so we can leave him out there on that hat trick, but in a pretty good position, leading in our second game in the group stages of the FIFA World Cup, 3-2 in front of Chile. And just about to make our way into the last half hour of this game. So far, no highlights in the second half, but a couple of players who are down to a red heart. So Nico Kerwin retiring after this tournament. He can come on for Darman, and also Josh Pickering, who picked up a goal in that first half. He can come off for Sloan Rodriguez. Still 3-2 in front with 30 minutes left. And a few minutes on from that previous sub, now a couple more players have gone down to red hearts. To be fair, a couple of them are doing quite well in the Stamanic as well as Justin Keat. Don't really want to bring on Michael Cornelius Beale because he's on quite a deep yellow heart, and we won't take off Kelly on a hat-trick. So I think just going to take off Keat here for Hall Jones. Being old, a little bit tired as well. We'll give Hall Jones some game time on that right wing. Still one more sub left as we try and hold on to this 1-goal lead. And very short off the back of that prior substitution, we do eventually get the first highlight here of the second half. Chile trying to play a ball in there over the top, but thankfully I think one of the players there was offside, hence they stopped the run, and Alex Paulson can come out here and try and get us on the counter-attack. We do quite well here to keep hold of the ball under pressure down our left-hand side. Billingsley plays that one to Evans and goes all the way back to Curtis, as I said, at halftime. Hopefully our centre-backs here might have a good partnership considering they both play for the Western Sydney Wanderers in the A-League. But Kelly, who's on a hat-trick, plays a lovely ball over the top there for George McDonald. It's an EI goal at the World Cup, and hopefully that's a buffer goal now, which will hopefully see us pick up 3 points from this game and also turn around that 2-goal deficit from that first game as well. So could be in quite a nice position as well with our goal differential to hopefully at the very least be one of the better third place teams in this tournament. But that is a big goal hopefully now with only 20 minutes left. That should be enough for us to hold on and pick up a win in a few minutes off the back of that. Now Louis Evans is down to a red heart. We'll take him off for Joe Bell with our final substitution. In fact, not Joe Bell, Anto Bratic on a bit more of a full green heart. That's our last sub off the back of going 4-2 in front. And just about to make our way into the last 10 minutes of this game, still 4-2 in front, but now it's time for us here to be a bit more disciplined, just try and slow the pace down, kind of the opposite of what we did late in that Spain game, is this time trying to make sure we hold on for 3 very important points in this group. And just as we make our way into the last 5 minutes of this game, there is a highlight here to Chile. A little bit concerningly, Anto Bratic has actually come on and is on an orange injury. Can't take him off because we've got no more subs left, but hopefully he can get through the remainder of this game and it won't cost us too much. Nice ball there for Bravo, but thankfully he misses a target. That's the first time that's actually happened in this game, at least in terms of Chile. Both teams really efficient with their shots in this game. Actually hasn't been that many shots overall, but that first half was full of action and thankfully found a way to come from 1 goal down around about halfway through that first half and pick up a 4-2 win. Jamie Kelly, very important, picked up 2 goals as well as an assist. The other goals, they did come through George McDonald and also through Josh Pickering before he came off with around about a half hour to go. But that is a very good bounce back. Thankfully, we beat the lowest ranked team in this group outside of ourselves, and that should give us a decent chance now of hopefully going through to the second round in tomorrow's episode, as long as we don't get beaten by Senegal, because that could certainly change things a little bit. But currently we're in second on the table off the back of that 4-2 win over Chile. So thankfully we bounced back there from that opening game defeat to Spain with a good win there over Chile. It does mean our goal differential is now at 0, and because we've actually won a game, we find ourselves in second in our World Cup group before we disappear for today's episode and come back tomorrow for that Senegal game, and also hopefully a tie in the second round as well can make our way through to that stage in back-to-back World Cups. A quick update on how all the groups are going here at the FIFA World Cup. Surprisingly, Thailand are on top of Group A. The War Elephants, shouldn't disrespect them to be fair because we played them twice, couldn't beat them both times, but they're on top of Group A. Group B currently, Argentina and Switzerland, they'd be going through. Group C, Ghana and Uruguay above the USA, and Montenegro, albeit Uruguay and the USA, are joint on points. Group D, actually quite tight there between England, Cameroon, and Costa Rica. England might be doing a bit of botley things, but to be fair, should still have enough points already to be going through as one of the better third place teams. If that was to be the case, Sweden and Colombia in the qualifying positions in Group E, but Tunisia also quite well placed on 3 points. Group F, Portugal and Ukraine in a strong position with 1 match day to go. Group G, Ivory Coast on top, Saudi Arabia and Mexico joint on 3 points. Group H, Brazil on top as you'd expect. Poland and Morocco look like they are fighting to get through to the next round. Norway already through from Group I. Germany could be in trouble there. They're 2 points behind Ecuador before the last game of the group stage, which is a bit interesting. Group J, as you've already seen, Spain already through. Hopefully we're now in a good position to go through alongside them, at the very least as one of the better third place teams. Group K, currently they've only played 1 game each and they all finished in draws, so can't read too much into that. And to be fair, Group L, also the same. Belgium and France, though, are on top of that, and you'd imagine that would probably be the case once they play all the games in that group as well. So that's what things are looking like after our first 2 games of the FIFA World Cup. As I said, we'll come back tomorrow, take on Senegal, hopefully grab something against them just to make sure we go through to the second round, and also we'll play whoever we get in that round if we do make it that far. But if you enjoyed today's episode, the first one of this 2030 FIFA World Cup, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up, on the video. And if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well until tomorrow for Senegal and, as I said, hopefully a second round tie at this FIFA World Cup. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.